Welcome to the Power of Design podcast. My name is Jack Osa. I'm an architect, born and raised in Colombia, South America. Years ago, I migrated to the United States to follow my dreams. And today, I'm the founder and principal of Osa Studio, a multidisciplinary architectural design firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. In this podcast, we talk about design, business, creativity, and the inspiration we need to create an exciting and powerful built environment. In this episode of the Power of Design podcast, I'm talking to my friend Terry Martin. Terry is a connector and a people person. He is the sales executive at Vari and co-founder of the Leads Exchange Group, a networking organization for the commercial real estate industry in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is my conversation with Terry. Hey Terry, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. So Terry, tell me about your day today. What do you do?
It's been a long day, but it's been a good day. So I started the morning off with a Leads Exchange Group event. We had one of our coffee events from 8:15 to 10 this morning. Had a good turnout, even on a rainy morning. So we had about 25 people show up, some new faces and some familiar faces. So it was good. And then headed over to the office. Showroom is like half a mile from there, and knocked out some things I needed to get done. Get a couple of quotes out there, and had a couple more calls and meetings this afternoon, and here now with you. So it's been a good day.
Awesome, man. So Terry, I've known you for maybe 3 or 4 years now, and I'm always been very, impressed by your ability to connect with people, to, you have a really good energy, it's very positive. You've been growing and learning about an industry you were just getting into. And I like to learn more about, yourself, your background, where are you from? How did you get to where you are today?
Okay. So actually from Fayetteville, North Carolina, born and raised. So I was a military child. I didn't serve, but I have family, grandfather, father, uncles, and 2 of my 4 brothers that have served. One is still active. Graduated there and left when I was 19, had a kid. My biological mother was moving back from Chicago to Charlotte. She wanted to be close to her first grandchild. And I was the goal was to come here and go to college, stay with her, go to college. And of course I moved here and got a job and fell in love with Charlotte. And I've been here since 2000 and absolutely love it here. But my journey to where I'm at now is really interesting because I have a customer service background, and that's who I am at my heart. And I love helping people. And so when I moved here, ended up in the insurance world through a temp staffing company, and ended up spending 11 years with the company.
Oh, wow.
Moved up kind of fast, really quick, because they were headquartered here in the United States in Charlotte for the first 4 years of my career. And then it went on a whirlwind when they pulled out of the U.S., ended up in Virginia for a little while, came back to Charlotte, and enjoyed what I did, met a lot of people, but never really loved what I was doing. I was a young parent. Ended up being a single dad, full custody of kids, 3 kids for 12 years. So I needed a job that paid.
Right.
So passion in the job wasn't necessarily something that was on high on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as my kids got older and the job ended up, the department I was in dissipated, they closed it down, and I found myself out of work, and I didn't know what to do. And initially you're thinking, okay, insurance, finance, banking,
Sure.
banking capital, right? Second biggest bank in the city. And I thought about that, and I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. Well, I have a dad and 2 of my brothers that have been in the car business for a long time. My dad's always said, hey, you people love you. You're good with people. You do really good in sales. I hate sales.
Yeah.
And it's funny saying that because I'm a sales executive, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a people person. I like to
Sure.
find solutions and build relationships with people, and that's not always conducive for a good car salesperson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did dabble a little bit, but never as a salesperson. They found a really unique position for me that was a liaison between service and sales. And it taught me how to get up and go have a conversation with a complete stranger that was there for a completely different reason than what I was going to talk to them for.
Yeah.
And as nerve-wracking as it is, because I am very extroverted for those that know me, it was very nerve-wracking for me to do that. But it helped develop and form who I am now. At the same time I'm doing that, I was coaching a youth football team. I had my own youth football nonprofit organization. We had between 80 to 100 kids, and I was the team president. So I was, at the same time, I'm learning how to, get the attention and keep the attention of 80 to 100 kids at a time. That's not so bad. It's the parents of those kids that you got to keep their attention to, right? And keep them on the same page.
Yeah.
And then third, I was going to the University of Phoenix at the time, which was, I was going to a campus, actual Charlotte campus. And the business sense of it, like doing the presentations, working and collaborating with other people that had so many different experiences than myself. We were young, old, new in our careers or whatever. And those three things melded together and then formed who I am now with my personality of wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And so a few years ago, I ended up in the CRE space, starting off with structured cabling for a year, ended up with PMC doing their AV division for a couple of years, and then now with Vari. So since August.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me about Vari. What is the company about? What are type of clients do you work for? What is your role within the organization?
So I am a sales executive with Vari. I'm very happy to be with Vari. No pun intended. Very happy. The kind of my tagline now is I'm Terry with Vari. So
that's a good one.
But it's a commercial furniture company that does things a lot different. It's a kind of an industry disruptor in the sense that we're not a dealer, we're the manufacturer. Mm-hmm. So the dealer model doesn't apply to us. We can go direct to the consumer, whether that's an individual or whether it's a business. But we still have the ability and the versatility to work with influencers, whether that's A&D firms, whether that's through brokers or whoever might be able to, that we can get in front of and help find a solution for.
Yeah.
So it's a really focused on small to mid-sized companies with high growth. Those are like, where we want to work with the C-suites and those upstart, those fintechs. So just finding solutions for them. And I love it. I've never worked for a company that their company values model my personal values. And I think when you find something like that, you kind of hold on to it and you embrace the ride.
Oh yeah, that's a really good match where you find a place that, their culture match who you are. And that's not very common. I will say that most people work in places that they're not very aligned exactly with their personal, vision of life and the internal culture. So when you find something like that is when you feel very empowered.
100%.
That's one of the things I always try to keep in mind as I'm building my companies. How do I create an environment to attract people that are aligned with how I think, and that I can help them feel good about themselves, that they feel empowered, that they feel happy to contribute to the organization. Because when you feel like that, you perform at a very high level. The level of energy and excitement you bring to your work is very high.
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, you spend, I don't know the actual statistics, but I'm guessing 70% of your life, with your career and your job. Mm-hmm. So you want to be somewhere that you feel like it's home to you. Like the second that you can be yourself and you can, that creativity, that imagination that we had is, kids, it follows you into when you have a work environment that allows you to be yourself and grow, there's nothing that's more exciting for an individual to get up and go to work, right? And then for me specifically, with my role, there's no 2 days are the same. I'm not sitting behind a computer every day just pounding away at a keyboard. Like it's whether it's business meetings, whether it's coffees, whether it's some type of a networking event, going out to a site to look at to take what they have or what they need. Those conversations, they're all unique, and it makes every day for me completely different. So it's exciting to wake up every day, go to work for a company again that's, hey, let's find a solution. Let's don't focus on the transactions. Don't focus on the products. Let's focus on the relationship and find a solution for the client, whoever that client may be.
Yeah. So when we met, I know you were getting started developing a networking group, the Leads Exchange group. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that group and since the origins, like when did you come up with that idea? Tell me like the small steps you took to get it started.
So the Leads Exchange group, it's completely different than what I thought when I first started. So I joined the industry in October of 2018 with zero experience in this world. So I didn't have any contacts. First person I met was Scott Bell with Cabro Logistics. And we got together and said, hey, let's help each other out. He had some experience. He goes, I'd be more than happy to try to help you, connect you to people. So we started meeting at his office once a week, once every 2 weeks. And what I found early on is that everybody's looking for some type of a turnkey solution, right? If you're going to deal with vendors, you want to deal with as little number of vendors as possible that can do them, and maximize what they can do. So if a project needs 10 trades and you can find 5 vendors that do those 10 instead of 10, they're going to go that route.
Sure.
And so early on, and I had this conversation this morning at the coffee and cream event, is, I met with some project managers and I found out real fast, hey, they would rather choke one neck instead of 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody. I'm doing structured cabling. I need to find lighting people, flooring people, furniture people, and just start there. And so as I started meeting people, going to different events, the crew events and the stuff like that, I started finding good people that I started meeting with on a regular biweekly basis. And we would talk about leads, projects, if there's somebody that we could connect each other to and try to help one another, but truly help one another. Not say, hey, I got somebody, I'll send them to you, and you never get that intro.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're doing that, I realized we got your internal and your external customers. To me, you always have those in any field that you're in. But what I realized is my internal customers, for me, were the A&D world, the GCs, the commercial real estate brokers, the property facility managers, and engineers. Like those people were key influencers that were working directly with the end users that all the vendors are ultimately trying to get in front of.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't have a CBRE person come to your biweekly meeting, because what does that do for your JLL, your Cushman and Wakefield, and
Sure.
and Trinity, right? What do they do? They're not going to come there. They're not going to share their leads.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we got to find a way to do an event where people can come and feel more comfortable, and you're not just all up in each other's space sharing leads, but you're getting to know the people. And that's where we did our first event. That's why I said, you know what, we need to do an event. And there were 6 of us and a little leadership team. And that was it, just 6 of us. And we all invited like 2 or 3 people each and figured we'd get one. And so in January of 2019, we hosted our first event at Hoppin in South End. We had 12 people there. 6 of us were already part of the little group, but 6 people showed up. And in my head, they would show up one time. Their value would be, hey, you get to meet these other 5 tradespeople, because one of them obviously had to invite the others. And then we'd meet them, and that would be it. They wouldn't want to come back.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Little did I know people would just fall in love with the atmosphere, the environment, the culture that we were trying to create from day one, is that everybody's welcome. It's no pressure. There's no titles. There's no classifications. It's just come and meet good people. Because at the end of the day, we all want to do business with people that we like.
Oh, yeah.
And so people kept coming and kept coming. And so by the last quarter of 2019, we were averaging about 42 people an event. Our largest event was like 45 people in that December. And we rolled right into January of 2020. We had 61 people, which I'll never forget the numbers. And then February, we had 80 people at the studio in South End. It was the biggest event we've ever had. It was amazing. And then COVID happened. And then we kind of, we took a month off. We went to virtual for a month or 2, and then we went to hybrid. And we were able to take the web cameras, still meet in person, and set up video conference for those that couldn't or didn't want to come out in person. And we kept meeting, because people in sales, this business development, you still got to find, you got to find opportunities, and you got to connect. You got to build relationships.
Right.
And so we did that, and we persevered. And I really think it helped us meet a lot of new people, and kind of not necessarily jump the line, but cut some of the years off on the growth, because we were there when pretty much every other networking group had to shut down. We were grassroots, we were small, and everybody that came out was like, hey, we're accountable for our actions. If you want to come out, you come out. Sure. If you don't, you don't have to. But we kept meeting and we grew. And so here we are now, and we're having a great kickoff to the year.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've been in, I think I was part of the second or third meeting at the beginning, and it's very important to see the impact, because I think the leadership aspect plays a big role. I do a lot of work in the branding world, and I work with companies, organizations to develop their brand. I need to understand their culture, need to know who they are. And it's amazing how direct is the relationship between the leader personality and how they think, and it trickles through the whole organization. It's mind-blowing the effect that had in people. And I can really tell how, just you, who you are, how you think, how you behave, and your values, they're reflected in the group, because by default people assimilate that, and I think that's a big part of it's a big reflection of your personal brand, that it happens by default, whether you want it or not, because when you go to other groups you get different vibes, and I think there is something very specific that goes around leg, that comes from from your attitude, from the way you relate to other people, and people kind of wanna multiply that.
Well, I appreciate that, because honestly, it's people like you that got on board so early. Like you were there, and we didn't know each other. I'd heard of you. Nobody heard of me because I was brand new, right? So, started getting some of the people that would come out there, and literally, I'll never forget. I think it was after your second or third time, probably after your second time out there. You're like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." After the event, and like you sat down with me after everybody left, and we sat down, and you had a manila folder, and you're like, "Hey, this is some ideas that I have that I think that would be great for what you got going on." And me not knowing anything about branding or designing logos or anything, and you did it upon yourself. Like you took that to sit down with me and show me that, and it meant a lot to me, because it kind of gave me that affirmation that, hey, got to be doing something right here. Because when people, no, seriously, when people of that caliber are coming to you and saying, hey, I believe in what you're doing, to take the time out of their own personal time to do that, it was an sign of affirmation from me, where I'm like, okay, we're doing it the right way, but I only know how to be me. And I tell people all the time, like, we're not everybody's cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, you can't be for everybody, but just be genuine to who you are. And my big thing that I've learned since I've started networking in the last, really understanding of the power of networking in the last 4 or 5 years, is really like network with intent. Always be authentic to yourself. Be genuine when you meet with other people. And I had a great conversation today that said, listen, if you're gonna go into an event and you're gonna be the relationship person, and there's 400 people in the room, and you're gonna come out with 4 relationships, be that person. If you're gonna be the person that goes in there and chases 400 business cards, and you're gonna be more transactional, be that person. Don't try to be something you're not, though. Like, be who you are, and let people know up front, this is who I am. This is what I'm going for. And guess what? You'll find your lane. You'll find the people that want to assimilate and work with you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you try to be something you're not, that it's not authentic, and people can see that.
Yeah. I'm always very passionate about sales, branding, marketing. That's a topic that I really enjoy, but since when I started my own business, I had to start selling things I didn't do before. And I fell in love with selling, and that ability to help somebody add value to what they need, and, just getting compensation for doing that. And I think there is a big hole in the marketplace in business, that people are not trained in what sales is. I think we get education of selling what we see on TV, or this car salesman, or whatever, pressure or pretending to be something, but nobody really explained to you how sales is really helping somebody. And how do you develop those relationships? And I think a huge component of the Leads Exchange group, it's exactly what you're talking about. There is a huge opportunity to have an education component to teach people how to develop relationships, how to grow themselves, how to grow their business in a simple, systematic, and authentic way. Because we live in a world that is so full of lies and pretending to be, people pretending to be something they're not, especially with social media that amplifies that sometimes, that especially younger people, they grew up in that environment, they just keep repeating that behavior, and they think, oh, I just need to make this person feel good because I really need to sell something, I need to convince them, instead of realizing that no, you are who you are. Behave in a way that is true to your values, to your personality. And some people are going to be a match, some people are not going to be a match. And network with intent, I really like that phrase. I think there is something there. Network with intent.
That's been one of
like
my hashtags. If you
Yeah.
find us on LinkedIn, I'm always like, it's Leads Exchange Group, and then like the next one is Network with Intent. And it's crazy because I've always been a people person. I've loved people. I've always been around people, right? Never like the class clown or like the center of the party, but always involved in stuff, whether it was football, whether it was, academics, AG, beta club, stuff like that. Like I did all of it, and I was taught to love everybody for who they are. And so that just filtered right into the customer service. Like I have I want to serve others and help other people.
Sure.
And so this has allowed me to do it, but it's crazy that this late in my life, I wish I'd have found this 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I truly do, because this is my calling. This is where I excel. This is where I can be my true self and excel, and not just as a person, but as a professional as well. And they mirror up, and I love it. But it was because I learned how to connect the dots. And that's the thing. I'd had all these people I knew, but I never saw like, oh, if I help those two people, personally I did it, but not on a professional level. And it's changed my life. Like really realizing that you can sow, you can plant seeds and sow that harvest in a totally different way than I ever thought before.
Yeah.
And if I could go back and talk to myself, and I even talked to somebody that was like in her second week with the company, and I talked to her, she was at the event today, and I said, you have such a head start on this thing, right? You're right out of college.
Yeah.
You got a great mentor in front of you. And so now you can sit here and you can just network and understand, be genuine, be authentic, and network with intent. Know why you're doing it. If I'd have done that 10, 15 years ago, I don't know where I'd be at right now.
Oh,
I
know.
I mean?
Yeah.
But it's part of the life, right? We all have a journey we have to take that gets us to where we're at.
Yeah, I always say that the timing is always perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timing is always perfect, and there is certain value in experience. There are many things that you can hear a certain message or concept at a moment in time, and it just passed by you. When you hear the same thing years later, you're like, oh my God.
Now it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like all of us, when our parents are telling us to do stuff, and then you don't really understand it until you're a parent yourself,
Yeah.
kind of something like that. It's funny because I was listening to one of your podcasts back with Frank Wiseman, with who I absolutely love, and he was talking about how his first job selling, and your point was, your rebuttal was like, you don't know until you know, like cutting your teeth. What he did in those first 3 months, helped develop and form where he's at now in his career, which he's super uber successful, right? And it's the same thing. Like we all have those things, whether they're setbacks, not always failures. As long as you learn from it, it's never a failure, right? It's a failure if you go back and make the same mistake over and over again.
Right.
But when you learn from it and you realize, hey, this isn't for me, or hey, this is for me, and you kind of, you figure your way down that path, you end up where you're supposed to be at some point in time. And so where I kind of skip between that liaison and the sales to ended up obviously in this world. After the sales, I jumped into the car sales stuff. I jumped back into insurance, but on the agent side, which I ended up loving. It was a 100% commission-based world, and I was raising 3 children by myself. That's the scary world to be in for anybody. And I made it happen. And, I had a great leader, a great mentor that taught me, and I went out, and next thing I know, again, by developing the relationships, I was walking in cold to buildings and to building plazas that I'd never been in.
Wow.
Trying to, find out who the gatekeeper is, find out who the decision maker is. It's nothing more unsettling than walking into a building that you have no idea what it looks like on the inside.
Yeah.
You have no idea who you're asking for, but you got to figure it out. And that overcoming those obstacles and it just helped me strengthen my confidence in myself that doing it the right way for me was the path I needed to take in it. So it wasn't running the door, hey, I need to sell you, blah, blah, blah. It was, hey, how can I help you? This is what I do. I'd love to be able to help you. And that's where I first started learning the networking. Because when I was working with small to mid-sized business owners and I was selling supplemental benefits, if that wasn't where their priority was, and it was, hey, I need a CPA or I need HR outsourcing, then I would pivot to my Insperity guy, and I'd be like, hey, you need to meet them. And what I realized is I was taking care of the client, helping them with somebody that was a trusted source.
Yep.
Right. But I was indirectly staying involved with that customer too. because they're going to remember that I'm the one that introduced them, right? As long as they have a good experience. But they run with other business owners. So they're going to know other people down the road that are going to need that service. And they're going to say, hey, that guy took care of me, even though it didn't put a dime in his pocket.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember that, and they're going to refer you. They're going to call you, and it worked for me. That's how my business took off. And so when I started in this industry, and again, didn't know anybody, and I started meeting with the young PMs, and they're like, hey, we need a turnkey solution. I was like, light bulb, I need to do the same thing, and I need to surround myself with people that are in other trades, that are like-minded, that have the right values, the right morals, and let's go take on the city.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by OSA Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.osastudio.com.
Where do you think your ability to connect and motivate people comes from?
That's a good question. I just think it's God-given. Like, I think I was born with it. I'm the oldest of all the siblings. It was, we had some rough times growing up, and I had to step up and help. I never complained about it. I enjoyed taking care of my younger brothers and helping my parents and whoever it might be. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the humble upbringings and people on the outside would see us and think that we had a great life and that, because we had some nice clothes or whatever, but they didn't see behind the door. They didn't see, when there was no heat in the house or not enough food or whatever it might have been. They didn't know what it's like. So I never grew attached to material things because material things can come and go and it's out of your control.
Sure.
But I've always valued people, the human element. And to me, that ultimately is what we're on this earth for. It's not to work and pay bills. Right. It's to impact the world, and the world is people. We're here to interact with one another and try to help each other along this thing called life. It's difficult enough, right? And so you need people that can stand next to you and pick you up when you're down, and that you can do the same too, and reciprocate that when they need you. So, I don't know. I loved coaching, and I think that's something to do with it too. I love helping people in any way I can, and that's just a natural thing. So I'm just glad that I found something that allows me to do that and get paid for it.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Not every person has the chance to match their natural skills, abilities, and passion to their job.
You're right.
A lot of people, they don't like what they're doing. They just want to go home.
That was 85% of my work life.
Yeah.
Up into this part of my career. Now I'm doing good.
Yeah, no, I think there is so much value in what you're doing, because to me, the biggest legal addiction in our community, it's workaholism, and that thirst for success and money and overwork. We're all workaholics. We work too much, and we worship overwork, and we worship people that work 50, 60, 70 hours a week because they're paying the price for their success without realizing they're paying the price without connecting with their family, without connecting with others, without connecting with their own selves, taking care of their own body, their own mind. That I think once you have that human element in work, it's refreshing. I don't really agree when people talk about work-life balance, because there is no work and life separation. You're the same human being. You just, at your home or you're at your office, but you're a human being. And I think that separation sometimes implies that you stop being a human and now you're part of the machine, right? But I think once you bring the humanity and authenticity to the work, which is the same life, then it's the same thing. You're still living, you're still forming relationships, you're still the same person. You don't need to behave different than the way you do at home just because you're in a business setting.
No, I agree 100% with that. That's a different take than I've heard of that, and so that's why I love having conversations every day, because you learn something new every single day. So to me, I think of work-life balance in a slightly different capacity, but that component that you just brought up is so accurate and very true. You should not. That goes back to being authentic, being yourself at all times, right? I can't be anybody besides me, and I learned that a long time ago. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being for everybody, right? So it's funny because getting on a little on personal side. So obviously I was almost 30 years old, single father, and I was 17 when I was single when I met my ex-wife. So we went from passing notes in school to trying to use dating apps, right? Or going to a bar, club, whatever. And what I realized real fast, you get on these apps and I wasn't 6 foot. I didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes. I didn't have a Maserati or whatever these things were. I didn't have a house at Malibu. And I'm like, aren't we all on a dating app at the same time? So we're all flawed, right? I mean, like, if that was that easy to find, would you be on here looking for that? Just like I'm on here looking for, but we're looking for different things. You're looking for status. I'm looking for love, right? I mean, like, so, but it's interesting how, it's interesting how that stuff, everybody is chasing something different. And my thing was like, I want to be happy. I like the work-life balance of being a parent is one of the most special, precious things I've ever done, right? I love my kids. My kids have been such a motivating factor for me that I would do anything for my children, right? And so having that 8 to 5 job for so long, that first career that I had that I did not like, it paid the bills. It afforded me to be home with my kids, to take them to school in the morning, to take them to practice in the evenings, to be the parent, be the both parent for my children. That meant more to me than chasing a job that was going to pay me more but take me away from my kids.
Right.
So, but there's a driver for all of us. We all have different whys. If I didn't have children, then I might be chasing the title or the career or the money, because there's nothing wrong with that. It's, again, being authentic and true to yourself. If that's who you are and that's what you want, I have no problem with that. Go for it. Just don't try to veil it with something that's not true to you, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so that's just, that's the way I've always looked at work-life balance. Is like, hey, I want to get to that point where if I need to take off some time and go spend time with my kids, as long as I'm busting butt and successful, I have a job, I have a manager that supports that.
Sure.
And that's good for me.
Yeah. What do you think is the future, or what do you want the future to be for the Leads Exchange Group, and then for your role within the group and your career?
So the Leads Exchange Group, I do have grandeur ideas and plans for it. I know when we talked early on, you were just getting started. You were just, this was a concept, right? Yeah. This was something you were thinking about doing. And I loved the reasons why you did it. I loved when we sat down and looked at the plan and what your short-term and long-term plan was for it. And I agree with that. And it's helped me kind of realize that this is something that is special to people. I mean, I look at the people that reach out to me now and they're like, hey, I heard I need to talk to you. Hey, I need to come to your event. And I look at the people that are reaching out to me or that I meet, and I'm like you're up here. Like, I'm down here. I'm just getting started. And you're coming to me and saying you need to be a part of this because you're hearing how special it is or whatever. And I'm like, that's awesome. But it's just because I try to surround myself with people that are authentic, organic, care about others. We're not in there with ego. There's a reason why we don't wear name tags at the events. There's a reason why we don't pass out business cards. You're more than welcome to, but I collect the information and I'll send all of it out to everybody there because I just want you to focus on meeting good people. If you have good relationships and good connections there, then guess what? When that list comes out, you know who to pick up the phone and call and grab that lunch or that coffee with, right? Yeah. So, where I see it going is I wanted to, regional. I want to get into other markets and help people there. And I think that, if we can do that successfully, that it could be something that we could eventually take, across the country. Because I believe that there could be a leg in every city, every major city. Yeah. I really, truly believe that. It might take 10 years or 15 years to get there. That's okay. We'll do it the right way when the time's right. And as far as myself, I'm always going to be involved in some capacity because I love people. And I don't ever want to become a corporate, cold event or, feel to it where you walk in there and you got the haves over here, the have-nots over there, or people don't feel comfortable. I wanted to always try to remain innovative, refreshing. Some of the team building events that we have on the calendar that I want to do when we start moving towards a membership base and actually have some budget and stuff, like there's some really cool things that nobody's doing. And I'm not doing it to be different. I'm doing it because you don't always have to do business on a golf course or in over drinks. There are other ways to team build and to have fun and learn about your peers, right? Or your clients. And then for myself with Vari, I being the first employee boots on ground for Vari in Charlotte is special to me. It means a lot because, there were a lot of people that applied and I was fortunate to be, one of the two that were hired here. I'm happy about that. I take pride in that. And I think there's an opportunity to leverage a relationship with people that I have with a solution that I know works without forcing it down their throats. Just let them know, hey, I'm here to help. This is what we can do. So I don't know how long that'll keep me in the sales as opposed to going into the BD role, because I know we are starting some business development manager roles in each region. And that does obviously, excite me. That interests me a lot because, that's truly more of my speed. Yeah. But wherever it takes me,
I think you got that job because you're Terry with Vari.
They didn't even think about that. So somebody I had a couple of people on the showroom tour.
It's a match made in heaven.
They're like, well, what happened when somebody goes, is it Vari or Vari? And I'm like, just think Terry. I'm like Terry with Vari. And they're like, oh my gosh. And so then the one person told another person, and now there it is. You're
the walking brand.
That's my new hashtag, Terry with Vari.
So Terry, what advice would you give to a younger professional who's getting into, commercial, construction, real estate industry? They're excited. They want to, grow, succeed, start making connections. What advice would you give them?
Let's see. I would say find a good mentor that you trust and that you will rely on as far as being transparent and open with communication, and keep that going at all times, because that's key to have somebody that trusts in you and that you can trust. Because it's hard when you're young in the industry. I don't care if it's your age. I don't care if you're 22 or if you're 42 and you're just getting in the industry. It's cutthroat sometimes, right? But they're great people. There are great, genuine people in this industry that I've found that want to see others succeed. It's one of the few industries where you see people that are successful will easily reach down and put their hand down there and help somebody up and pull them along with them. And that's refreshing. That is so cool for me to see, because you don't see that a lot in the corporate world at all. So to see that, I'd say the mentor, and then network. Like, get out and build your personal brand. And with what you do with branding, like, that more than anybody, like, your personal brand follows you. I tell people all the time when you're networking, the reason why you want to be yourself and you want to network and shake every hand is, one, you're always one handshake away from your next big opportunity or next big, contact that you needed to meet. The other thing is, as you're going through this and you're getting started and you're like, okay, I got to keep going. Things are tough, because everybody feels that quota crunch, right? But as you're staying true to yourself and you're getting out there, people start seeing you and they realize this is who this person is. This is where they're from. This is where they're going. This is their work ethic. And that personal brand goes before any and everything else. Because if you sold tires and I sold cars, and obviously we would work well together, but if we didn't have anything in common and we just didn't vibe on a natural level, and like, you never wanted to pick up the phone and call me, and I never wanted to take you to golfing, we're not going to do business together. No matter that we have the exact products that that pair up. Yeah. But if I like you and I get along and I believe in you, and you go and start selling shoes in 6 months, I'm going to refer everybody that I know that needs shoes to you to buy shoes. Sure. Doesn't matter what the brand is, the logo is on the shirt. Doesn't matter what your title is. It's that personal branding. So I would say the personal branding through networking and having a great mentor. Those are the two biggest things that I would recommend. Yeah, no, man, that makes a lot of sense, and that's so important. As you said a while ago, if we had known this information 20 years ago, oh my God, would have saved so much time. That's the catch-22 about life, right? I know. But we got the information now. We're using it. So. We do, and that's the thing. If we can help other people, that's another thing about networking. You go to these events, it's not always about doing transactions with them. You might be able to say something to somebody that's just 2 days into the industry or 2 years in and struggling.
Yeah.
We were all there. And that word of, those words of affirmation, you saying that, you coming to me after that second event that you attended and saying, hey man, I really like what you're doing. This is what I'm seeing. Like that filled me up with some pride and realized, hey, I'm doing something right here. Right. Those people that are out there struggling, that are new or whatever, or just are having a rough year, sometimes it's good to go to these events and just talk to them.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been there. It's okay. You're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Right. So it's about people.
That's right. Well, Terry, thank you so much for your time today, man. I really appreciate your friendship. I'm very excited for what you're doing, impressed by your work, and I know you're going to do amazing things in the future.
Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you for having me on here. I can't believe that this is number 65, and I sat in your old office at Alfred Williams, and we talked about it, and you hadn't done your first one yet.
That's right.
So, I mean, congratulations to you on continued success. And listen, you're like a little rock star around here. Everybody knows who Jack Osa is. They know the podcast, and so I think it's brilliant what you're doing. I think it got the right heart about it, and these are some great conversations that I've been able to listen to on here. So hopefully somebody can take a little something away from me, because I'm a little surprised that I'm on here, because I don't feel like I'm at the level of some of these other people that you've had on here. But I really do appreciate you asking me to be on here, and I do value your friendship as well.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review if you like this content. And find us online at thepowerofdesignpodcast.com. I invite you to join my mission to become a better version of yourself through the power of design.